Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between JZuna as our Wehrmacht, and his opponent today is going to be Anticafe as our US. Map today is going to be Longra. You guys probably know it well at this point. You got these two nasty little cutoff points connecting you to the majority of the resources on this right side, and a little bit of resources up for grabs on the left. And yeah. You know, ever since the patch where they made it so that you can drop units in 30 seconds after the start of the game, I always get an announcement, regardless of what battle group I'm playing, that's like, hey, you can drop in units now. I'm sure, I'm sure you guys have noticed that as well. Just a funny artifact of the change, I think. So, looks like it's going to be a rifleman opening for our US player. Happy to see that. And for a Wehrmacht player, doing something a little unusual, going 2 Grenadiers with no Pioneer support. So this build gets more firepower on the field faster, and it's units that you're going to want to keep around, or it's easier to keep them around longer. But, of course, at the expense of early game capturing power, and we can see that coming into effect here with these scouts already having gotten the fuel on that right side. Grenadiers about 30 seconds behind, I would say. Now, Grenadiers headed up to this top side, but Riflemen in the area going to get there first. So, US player ought to be coming out ahead on fuel in a big way here. So, do we think it's more Grenadiers following up, or do we think it's going to be a heavy machine gun? You know, I think Wehrmacht does better when you mix in different units, but it does look like it's going to be Grenadier heavy here. Going for the old Soviet style from Company of Heroes 2, just jam it down with conscripts and hope for the best. Don't get me wrong, Grenadiers I think are a fine unit, but they are higher utility than they are combat effective in my opinion. Interestingly enough, US player didn't go for that capture straight away. Rifleman gonna jump back in this house while these Grenadiers duke it out with the scouts at long range there. Grenadiers not overcommitting though. But here come the Riflemen, going to grab away this cutoff point, and that's going to be super annoying for our German player. Dropping down sandbags, prioritizing shaping the map to his will, right? Over capturing territory quickly. And these Pioneers ought to help these Grenadiers win this fight, but even more Grenadiers on the scene, so German player definitely going to win this left side. Certainly at the expense of his right side, though. I'd really like to see our German player keep this low health unit on the field, which he's not going to do. So, I mean, I think there's two schools of thought on that, right? You can... If you keep your wounded units on the field, they can capture for you. But if you need them for another fight sooner rather than later, then they're going to be way out of position the next time you need them. So it's two sides of that coin. I personally favor keeping wounded units on the field to help me capture, especially in the early game, when getting that early territory control can help you springboard into the mid-game. That said, I am not a high-rated player, so these folks that we're watching have way more games than I do. By the way, this is live on the ladder. So I actually happen to find two players that are pretty close in skill level. And we'll see if it's a good one. So, kind of a little bit of quiet here. US player winning the right side. German getting back out here to pick up some territory. Gonna have a long-range fight here. But this is a fine fight for a German player. Gonna let him grab up this fuel. Doesn't mind scuffling with these scouts. We did see that heavy machine gun moving into that bottom side as well. Infantry support center added on for a US player. I believe that was the infantry support center. Take a quick look there. Yeah, infantry support. No surprise there. You know, I'm a little disappointed that folks haven't started using the other support centers a little more often, and we did see some players experimenting with them right after that change happened, but has slowed down a bit here. Grenadiers going for this cutoff point, but totally surrounded on all sides here. Not a fight they're going to want to take. I do suspect we'll see them retreat here. He is delaying these riflemen, but this is a totally unfavorable fight. And should see him retreat pretty soon there. There he goes. And German player going to have control of both field points for a moment here. See how long that lasts. He has added on the infantry officer quarters, right? So he's got Vet 1 on all his units here. Love to see that when you're staying on infantry tech for a little while longer here. Let's have quite a bit of manpower built up. I suspect we're going to see a building next from him. He might be waiting to see what his opponent does before making a decision. But does know about that captain, so should know that the motor pool is just around the corner here. I mean, with the changes, you know, if folks were going to go for bar rifles, they can do it without a captain, right? They can do it without an infantry support center. So that's a little bit of a clue as to what your U.S. opponent might be doing, right? If you see them add on a captain and you don't see any bar rifles, you know that they're saving fuel, and a motor pool could be just around the corner. That said, there are, you know, other things to spend your fuel on. Just one thing to keep in mind. Nice little flank there on the heavy machine gun. Quite a few U.S. units in this central area are going to help him win that fight. I do suspect we're going to see him pick up this cutoff point once again, and it's going to be Luftwaffe company for a Wehrmacht player. And a mortar for our U.S. player. Interesting. Yeah, so I'm excited to see Luftwaffe. I feel like it's been 90% Panzer Grenadier Company ever since the patch. That would be the Opal Scorpion, where Panzer Grenadiers got a huge buff, and Luftwaffe got a huge nerf. Should say Jaeger did. But now they've walked back some of those Jaeger nerfs, and I think that... I mean, I thought they were in a good place before, but the community definitely disagreed with me. So nice to see them making a comeback here, and it's going to be a scout car next. Yeah, I wonder what this mortar is for. Maybe just to deal with that heavy machine gun. Pop smoke, probably, if I had to guess. But definitely an interesting decision. Grenadiers supported by a heavy machine gun, going to push out here. Riflemen looking like they're currently losing that fight, but Riflemen have better damage up close. And yeah, Grenadiers barely going to win that fight. He is going to walk away with that fuel. Mortar already contributing to the fight here, dealing with that heavy machine gun, but U.S. player continuing to do an excellent job controlling the map. We do see a medical bunker on the way here for that discount on casualty replenishment. And it's going to be bar rifles and grenades for a U.S. player after motor pool. And an AT gun next. Yeah, I was about to say, if you're going to spend all your fuel, might as well throw it on an AT gun if you see a vehicle, and that's what he's going to do. Smoke coming out from these scouts here. And is that scout car going to pick up the scouts on their way out? He might. There aren't any riflemen in the area. And that's going to be a great little find there. Nothing too major, of course, but is going to feel good. Even going to drive back the mortar. And I'm loving this scout car. I mean, I'm not going to be loving it for very long, but he is using it right, you know. He is using it aggressively right when it hits the battlefield. And he's taking territory, right? And I don't know if he wants to continue to be aggressive here, but lovely use of this vehicle. Here comes the AT gun, though. He does not know that his opponent has grenades, so we'll need to be careful about that. More sandbags going down for our German player. I love to see him continuing to build field defenses into the mid-game. I think that's an important skill to have. AT gun setting up on the scout car. Scout car just kiting him on the very edge of the map. Hey, mortar connecting with the scout car. That's a change we saw this patch. Is that mortars do way, way less damage to vehicles. Sprint being popped here, gonna pop a grenade. Mortar continuing to contribute to the scout car. And AT gun way, way far forward. Scout car should make it out. He is gonna make it out. Heavy machine gun sees the AT gun, focusing him down there. Grenadiers tossing grenades. Here come the Jaegers. helping out against the AT gun, and a nice hold by our German. That was really scary for a minute there. I thought for sure that the scout car was dead. And actually going for an early officer quarters, Luftwaffe officer quarters, to get those Vet 1 units, increase their rate of vet up. And Grenadier's going to grab away this fuel on the right side potentially here. Scout car moving to the left. Still doesn't know that those riflemen have grenades yet, so does need to be careful here. Riflemen not going to finish the capture, are going to finish it. Yeah, he was bluffing there. You know, did need to finish that capture. And Scout Car going to drive away those units. And German going to move into a really good position here in this mid-game. But Greyhound has the potential to change that. And these Jaegers did go for the anti-infantry here, so pretty much no anti-tank to be seen for our US player. And this is a pretty late Scout Car, so that's kind of interesting. See, looks like he might be thinking about dropping in this LG-40 here from the Luftwaffe battle group there. Jaeger's doing their thing. And German's going to hold here, I think. But here comes the Greyhound, supported by plenty of bar rifles. Is he going for double bars? He is, yeah. So I think it's going to be an infantry-heavy game for our US. I suspect we'll see advanced logistics next, potentially even survival training. And yeah, there's the drop-in for the LG-40 here. So it's going to have an anti-tank option for this Greyhound. Greyhound taking advantage of his window where there's no anti-tank on the field, but smartly not going to chase all the way into base there. Did see that flyover, right? So he does know that something was dropped in, and it's very likely to be an LG-40. Pioneer's going to get driven back there. And our US player still has not locked in his battle group, which is a little unusual. Let's see if he's got anything in mind. And it's going to be more riflemen for our US player. Yeah, not terribly surprising. Has been struggling for fuel here a little bit. And something like more anti-infantry is going to be pretty darn good. So, where's our German heading? So I think our German player is going to get the infantry reserves from the Luftwaffe battle group, right? So he's going to get discounts that way. Both players are going to end up with huge discounts on reinforcing infantry, and we're going to see about 1.5 million infantry over the course of this game. And I suspect this game could end with Sturmpanzer or Panzer Force. And an artillery barrage called down by the captain there. Grenadiers just going to eat all this damage, holding all those units in place. Grenadiers get out of there. Jaegers trying to do their thing at maximum range there, but walking into the open a little bit. And heavy machine gun going to get flanked by riflemen on this side, and is going to be forced back. And I love these infantry games where it's infantry heavy on both sides, and you see both players really like having to micro everywhere all the time all at once. I think it's just really cool to see. Greyhound on the hunt for this scout car is going to find him. And I don't think the scout car, yeah, I mean, he's going to go down here, not seeing it in time. Oh man, surviving one last shot. Greyhound getting aggressive. Scout car trying to get behind the hedges and isn't going to make it. And a nice little pickup there. And we're going to see Luftwaffe, or excuse me, Wirbelwind on the way for our German player. Going to get that out on the field, and that thing is going to run the show for a little bit here. Now, AT guns perform pretty darn well against the Wirbelwind, so I think we could see a second AT gun potentially. I'd say US players tend to hesitate to do that in general, but I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. This map, with this wide open center area here, AT guns do really, really well. So we'll see if he ends up wanting to do that. Greyhound repositioning to the left side to support this infantry. And here comes the Wirbelwind, supported by anti-infantry Jaeger. And instantly going to retreat those scouts, grenadiers, riflemen, everybody on the run here. Verbalwind might be on the chase for this Greyhound. Does have a crew shock here, but I do think he's going to get away. There is no infantry in the area, though. A T-gun is positioned appropriately. Verbalwind might chase, and is that a dead Greyhound? It's going to hurt, though. That is going to be very painful, but nice takedown on the Greyhound. Another AT gun shot might connect. Not quite going to happen. So both players trading vehicles here. And yeah, nice little, I mean, once again, German player using the element of surprise, using his unit as soon as it hits the field to maximum effect. Love to see that. Now this LG-40 is on anti-infantry. This gun does surprisingly well against infantry. To be frank, I'm surprised by how well all AT guns do. Well, all anti... Oh man, that rifleman going down. Not quite seeing it. And these riflemen on the chase for this Verbalwind. Doesn't look like he's going to catch another rifleman going down. Oh man. And this heavy machine gun going to eat a grenade there. Not quite going to finish him off. Jaegers from behind, though, going to force this rifleman back. There's a big old US blob there, but that was pretty darn expensive for our US player. That is not going to feel good. So, would say our US player's saving grace right now is that he's had pretty decent control over the victory points throughout this game. Has built himself a slight lead here. And despite the heavy losses, has plenty of time. Plenty of tools to come back in this game. Still has not locked in his battle group. Does have advanced logistics. Feels like this is going to be a heavy weapons battle group type of game. A martyr on the way next for our German player. I think that's a little bit of a mistake. I mean, he doesn't know that, of course, but maybe sensing that if his opponent was going to add on tanks, they'd be hitting the field right about now. Because if you think about the fuel that was spent on the advanced logistics. Yeah, I don't know. Now that I say that, I realize that the math is still wrong. So, JZuna just preparing for any threat, right? And having that martyr in his back pocket is going to be pretty huge. Here comes a gigantic push on this top side by our US player, but is going to be met with force. LG-40 going to get forced back here. AT guns moving into position to support. Oh my god, this Verbalwind absolutely slaughtering those riflemen. Holy cow. Grenadiers holding it down right in the middle. More riflemen going to go down here. Are going to escape, but Grenadiers going to focus fire, and that is going to be a surrender. Wow. Wow, wow. Yeah, I'm just thinking about what could have been different. You know, obviously I think that game came down to unit preservation there. And I think Anticafe's build was a little directionless. You know, went for that early motor pool and then switched into grenades and bars, right? So he didn't have that surprise factor. It ended up working out for him with the Greyhound able to pick up the scout car. You know, get aggressive with that unit a little bit, but we didn't see any wipes. And then wasn't quite ready when the Verbalwind hit the field. It was lovely aggression from JZuna. Both times his vehicles hit the field, taking his opponent by surprise and getting a lot done. So, hope you guys enjoyed this short little ladder game today, and I will see you in the next video.